and welcome to episode 20 of the Mr. Douglas Sports Show. I am your host, as always, Corey Douglas, coming to you live on a Thursday instead of a Wednesday like we typically do. With no Thursday night game, I gave y'all an extra day. But we're going to dive right into it. The Cowboys came away with a 37-34 win against the New York Giants on Sunday, but that could not have felt like a more emptier win that I've experienced as a Cowboys fan throughout all these years. Losing Dak Prescott to that nasty ankle injury really kind of took the wind out of the air. So obviously my initial reaction, it was like, I thought when I first saw him laying on the ground, I thought his cleat just came off, and I thought he was just putting back on his cleat and he's going to get right back up. And then the camera angle changed or something where you saw the foot going in the wrong direction. And I'm thinking, oh, his season's over. And I'm going as far as thinking, how is this going to impact his career? Because you never know how some of those injuries can play out. So obviously later it was diagnosed as a compound fracture with a dislocation. He had surgery Sunday night. Surgery was successful from everything that I've heard. He appears to be in good spirits, which is important at this point. The mental health is definitely important. His recovery time is anywhere between 4 to 9 months is what I've heard. I've heard 4 to 6. I've heard 6 to 9. Regardless of the fact, he is going to recover, so that is definitely a good thing. But there's three things that kind of, once the diagnosis came out, there's three things that I kind of went to and thought of for Dak. Number one, it has to be Dak, the person, and what he's gone through in his life. Obviously, he's experienced losing his mother when he was in college. His brother committed suicide earlier this year, and now he has this severe ankle injury. Now, I'm not comparing the ankle injury to what he's gone through as far as losing his brother and his mom, but it's just another obstacle in his professional career that he's going to have to overcome. And for a 27-year-old, I think Dak has experienced a lot of things that a lot of 27-year-olds have not experienced. But I think that's what kind of makes him the person he is, the leader he is. So I think he's going to recover. And that's the most important thing out of all of this. Get healthy, Dak. So yeah, that's number one. Dak the person, the recovery. That's the first thing I thought of. But now the second thing I thought of was, I was like, damn, dude, this dude does not have his long-term contract. And that's been a big point of conversation throughout the offseason, throughout the beginning of the season. Is he worth the money? Is he not? And I know I've been on record saying, I don't know about 40 million, 35 million. I don't know about all that. And with the negotiations, from everything that's been reported, there was a report that came out around week 1 or 2 saying that Dak would have accepted the 5-year deal if they would have assured Dak that the Cowboys wouldn't have franchise tagged him after that 5th year. Apparently that was a deal breaker for the Cowboys. But I've also heard that Dak's agent, Todd France, wasn't negotiating in good faith. He knew he was going to be leaving that agency that he was going to be leaving, CAA. And he thought that having three, because Todd France has 3 guys that are on a franchise tag right now. Of course, Dak is the biggest name because he's the quarterback. But a lot of people think in the NFL circles that the agent was keeping those contracts from getting done so he could go to his new agency and get a bigger cut at that agency. So obviously if that's the way it went down, that's a real selfish way on the agent's part to look at it. But I think this contract situation goes one or two ways now. Now, obviously, the Cowboys signed Andy Dalton for a reason to have as a backup this offseason. So if he plays really well, the Cowboys could be like, hey, look, he played just as well as Dak was playing. We won games, and we can get Dalton for cheaper and let Dak walk, and so we can fix the rest of this team, mainly the defense. But there's a other way that could go where the Cowboys and Dak this brings them closer together, and the Cowboys reach out to Dak and say, hey, let's get this deal done and let's stop all the, whatever the case may be, whether it's the agent not acting in good faith, whether it's Dak wanting to bet on himself, because I think that's a big aspect of it. Dak was willing these last 2 years. 2 years ago, I'm gonna play out the last year. This year, I'll play on a franchise tag, no problem. I'm gonna bet on myself. Now, does this change the bet on myself aspect of it now? Does Dak say, hey, I'm going to go get this contract done. I don't care what Todd France is talking about. Let's get this deal done. And the Cowboys could be at the same time going, hey, let's get this deal done. You've suffered this injury now, your first substantial injury of your career. Let's get this done. You're going to recover from this one, but who knows going forward. So I think that's the second thing I thought of, is just his contract status overall. And then third thing, I finally got to the team outlook for the rest of the season. Now, obviously, we know the Cowboys are in first place at 2-3. They're in a really bad division. The Eagles stink. Washington stinks. The Giants, as we saw, they stink as well. So the Cowboys season isn't over. You know, as much as doom and gloom that we've heard since Sunday when the injury happened, the season's not over. And a big part of that is because the Cowboys division is so terrible that they could maybe win 7 or 8 games and still get in the playoffs with Dalton. So like I said, the season's not over. I think it's going to be tough for them to make a real run at things. Going, you know, when we talk about NFC Championship game, Super Bowl, that's probably out of the picture, but making the playoffs is still very much alive. So let's go ahead. I just want to talk about the rest of the game. Obviously, it was another slow start. The Cowboys fell down 14-3 almost immediately. There was a pick six involved. The Giants offense hadn't scored 20 points all season. They had 20 points easily about 90 seconds into the second quarter. Although the defensive performance overall was terrible, I did think we saw some glimpses from some guys that we need. And one of those guys is DeMarcus Lawrence. Big strip sack when the Cowboys were down 17-10. Anthony Brown's able to pick it up on the score, tie the game at 17. Jalen Smith, I thought, played really well. He's been a guy that's been under a lot of heat from just everybody, fans, media, anybody watching the Cowboys, as he's been one of the worst linebackers in football. I think he played a lot better. CeeDee Lamb continues to show up, 8 catches, 124 yards, and he's emerging into that guy that I thought he was when he drafted, and that's a guy that I thought would become the Cowboys' best receiver on the team. I think he's showing glimpses of that. I mentioned a little bit about the defense. They allowed 7 of 13 third down conversions. So obviously that's not a good thing. The defense has to be able to get off the field on third downs, especially against a bad offense like the Giants. And for this week's game ball, I'm giving that to Michael Gallup. The 2 catches he made on that last drive to set up the game-winning field goal were ridiculous. The one on the sideline, keeping his feet in bounds, and then the one on the go route, he goes up to catch the ball and actually doesn't catch it till his way down. Gallup continues to show that he's that big play receiver, and that was a beautiful ball by Andy Dalton as well. So shout out Michael Gallup. And this was a game that the Cowboys caught some breaks in as well. The Giants had 2 touchdowns taken off the board. You have the one on special teams where they just forget Evan Ingram's on the field. He goes down the field. Touchdown is called back. Darius Slayton had one later in the third quarter, called back due to offensive pass interference. That took a touchdown off the board. And once again, Cowboys mistakes. They had 12 men on the field when the Giants were getting ready to punt, cost them 3 points when the score was 24-20. So that allowing the field goal made it 24-23. The season's not over with Andy Dalton, but the Cowboys definitely have some things to clean up. And, you know, we'll kind of see how that goes. They have the Arizona Cardinals Monday night, so let's go ahead and just dive right in there. And we'll just start with kind of like a Arizona Cardinals preview a little bit. Right now, they are 11th in total offense. They're not really a heavy passing team, although Kyler Murray is capable of beating you with his arm. He's more, I guess, dangerous, you could say, in his run game, where you see that the Arizona Cardinals are averaging 141 rushing yards per game. A lot of that has to do with Kyler Murray. And I guess one thing as I was looking at it, throughout getting prepared for this game, is that the Arizona Cardinals defense is not bad. They're fourth in the NFL, only allowing 20 points per game. They're allowing 124 rushing yards, which is 14th worst in the league. So Zeke in the run game, and we'll get to that in my keys of the game, but Zeke in the run game is going to be very important, especially with Andy Dalton at quarterback. The Arizona Cardinals are allowing 222 yards of passing, which is fifth best in the NFL. Players to watch. Best receiver in the game to me, DeAndre Hopkins. This past week against the Jets, he became the fourth fastest to 9,000 yards in his career. Dude is elite. He's coming off 6 catches, 131 yards against the Jets. He leads the league in receiving yards. Obviously, he's going to be very important. Jordan Hicks, I think, is their best defensive player at this point. They still have Patrick Peterson. They lost Chandler Jones, who actually had bicep surgery on Wednesday. So he will be out for the rest of the season. He's a guy that's had double-digit sacks the last 5 seasons. Also, an underrated guy going back to the offense. And Kenyon Drake is the Cardinals' starting running back. But Chase Edmonds, I think, is their best back or most explosive back. So he's going to be very important. Keep an eye on him. And for my 3 keys to the game, so I was watching a little bit of that Cardinals-Jets game from this past weekend. And one thing that stood out to me is Kyler Murray does not really, he's kind of loose with the football when he's carrying the ball. Now, he doesn't get hit very often because he's so quick and shifty and small and whatever you want to say. But the point is, he doesn't get hit often. But I think if you can get to him and find a way to contain him in the pocket and get after him and hit him, he will fumble. So that's my number 1 key to the game. Get after Kyler, find a way to bring him to the ground, and I think you have a chance for turnovers there. Number 2 key to the game, protect the ball. That's something that the Cowboys haven't done this part in the season. And with a shaky offensive line and a quarterback that's not as mobile as Dak Prescott, it's going to be important for ball security. Dalton had a fumble in the game against the Giants, bad exchange from the center to quarterback. Patrick Peterson came out on a podcast and said, yeah, their game plan is definitely stop Zeke, put the ball in Andy Dalton's hand to make him beat them. They feel like getting Andy Dalton, throwing the ball over the field, they feel like there's more room for errors on that. My number 3 key to the game is the Cowboys have been one of the worst starting teams in the NFL. At this point, it's almost like they're doing it on purpose to dig themselves a hole. Without Dak Prescott out there, you can't fall into a hole in this game. Arizona's offense can be very explosive. They can be very dynamic, and they can put up points. So Cowboys, they got to hit first. Get out to an early lead. Allow your pass rush to do what they showed against the Giants. Although the Giants do have a bad offensive line, they have to be able to get after the quarterback. And what allows defensive rushers to get to the quarterback is playing with the lead, playing from in front. And I think that's been one of the biggest things that they haven't done to this point in the season. So if they can do those 3 things, they give themselves a great chance to beat the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals, they've lost to the Lions and the Panthers already. So they can be beat. It's going to be a tall task for this Cowboys defense to stop the Arizona Cardinals offense. All right, so that concludes my Cardinals-Cowboys preview. I'll get my prediction later during our NFL pick segment. But now I want to go over to my NFL power rankings. Last week I had the Chiefs number 1, Packers 2, Seahawks 3, Bills 4, and Pittsburgh 5. There are some changes on this week's power rankings after this week's results. And it starts right at the top. My number 1 team in the NFL right now is the Green Bay Packers. They had a bye week this past week. They're supposed to be getting Devontae Adams back this week in Tampa Bay. So that's going to be a big step for their offense. And Aaron Rodgers is already playing at a ridiculous level. I think him and Russell Wilson are the favorites for the MVP. My number 2 team, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a shocking loss for them to lose at home to the Las Vegas Raiders. But they're still right there. One note that came out of that game for KC was that was the first time that Patrick Mahomes has lost by more than 7 points in his career. So the average margin of victory for opponents against Patrick Mahomes to this point in his career has been around 4.5 points. So to lose by 8 is, it's a blowout for Patrick Mahomes. So that's kind of crazy. My number 3 team, the Seattle Seahawks. They escaped with one on Sunday night against Minnesota. I thought Minnesota was looking like the team that we expected coming into the season, but Dalvin Cook went down with an injury, and a big crucial mistake, I think, on Mike Zimmer's part late in the game on 4th and 1 to not kick the field goal to put them up 29-21 and force Russell Wilson to go down the field, score the touchdown with a 2-point conversion. They go for it on 4th down, don't get it. Russell Wilson goes 94 yards, game-winning touchdown. DK Metcalf, game over. Seattle remains undefeated, headed into their bye week. My number 4 team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Once again, Ben Roethlisberger found a way to come out with a victory. And Claypool, the rookie receiver, 4 touchdowns, should have been 5. But they have some weapons, and Pittsburgh's playing really well. I was surprised to see how poorly their defense played, but they are my number 4 team in the NFL right now, today. And then number 5, we have a new team making my top 5. Last week, I did not have the Baltimore Ravens in there. I don't think Lamar Jackson's playing very well, but what I saw from that defense on Sunday against Joe Burrow, woo! It actually cost me my fantasy matchup. Pretty upset about that. But the way they got after Burrow was, they were all over him. Every time he dropped back, he was getting sacked. Burrow couldn't get rid of the ball fast enough. He was fumbling. Baltimore's my number 5 team for this week. And that's going to do it for my NFL power rankings. So let's go ahead and transition over to my week 6 picks. Last week I went 9-5. That makes me 50-26 with 1 tie for the season. So not bad. Hopefully this is a week where we don't have any, postponements due to COVID or, whatever. That's been a big issue, with the Tennessee Titans breakout, and they've been moving games all over the schedule. So, we had Tuesday night football, which is crazy, but I enjoyed it. Obviously it cost us our Thursday night game because there is no Thursday night game this week. So the first game on the schedule this week is the Houston Texans traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans. I have to take the Titans at home after what I saw Tuesday night. They played with a chip on their shoulder, even though I don't know if it was a valid chip, just because they seemed to be upset with the way people were talking about them due to the whole COVID outbreak they had in Tennessee. Give me the Colts at home against the Bengals. Give me the Vikings at home against Atlanta. Dan Quinn, I told y'all last week, Dan Quinn was going to get fired, and losing to the Carolina Panthers did the job. Got him up out of there. So they are 0-5 heading to Minnesota, and they will go to 0-6. I have the Patriots beating the Broncos. I think Cam Newton will be back, but that remains to be seen. We'll kind of see how it goes throughout the week with his test, if he continues to test positive or whatnot. Give me the New York Giants beating the Washington football team at home. And, oh my gosh, seeing Alex Smith on the field after he had his leg destroyed, it made me nervous. And just seeing his wife and kids out in the stands, it really made me nervous. But obviously it's good to see him back on the field. But I think the Giants do have enough to get the win against Washington. Give me the Ravens over the Eagles. Give me the Steelers over the Browns. The Browns are playing pretty good football at 4-1, but like I said, I think the Steelers, they're one of the 5 best teams in the league, and they will protect home field. And Myles Garrett is facing the Steelers for the first time since last season's Thursday night game where he swung his helmet at Mason Rudolph. Still don't know the full story about that, but we'll see how the emotions remain in check, or if the emotions can remain in check during that game. Give me the Panthers at home against the Bears. And the Panthers have been one of the surprises to the season after starting at 0-2. They are looking to get their 4th straight win. and I think they will do that at home against the Bears. I don't think the Bears are very good. They escaped against Tampa Bay last week. Give me the Lions over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Give me the Dolphins over the Jets. The Jets are a mess. They will refuse to fire Adam Gase, but they got rid of Le'Veon Bell. And I think Le'Veon Bell was he was okay with that. But give me the Dolphins over the Jets. Give me the Tampa Bay Bucks to send the Packers to their first loss this week. Give me the Los Angeles Rams going on the road to beat San Francisco. And that was another one of the surprises of week 5. San Francisco, what the hell was that? Getting smoked at home by the Miami Dolphins and Fitzpatrick, 43-17. Jeez. Jimmy G getting benched? Damn. Give me the Chiefs going on the road in Buffalo to get a win, bouncing back from their loss to Las Vegas. And then lastly, give me the Arizona Cardinals to beat the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think the Cowboys have enough on defense to stop Arizona enough to overcome what the Cowboys will be lacking with Dak Prescott at quarterback. Like I said, Andy Dalton's not bad, but I gotta see it before I believe it. So that's going to do it for this episode 20 of the Mr. Douglass Sports Show. I will catch y'all next week. Until next time, salute.